it's time to invite our featured guest, our speaker up here. Valerie Segrest runs the Food Sovereignty Project for the Muckleshoot Indian Tribe, and we all feel really fortunate and honored to have her with us today. Please welcome Valerie Segrest.
Good evening. I love it when people talk back to me. Thank you. And I'm so happy you're all well fed, because nothing is more scary than looking at hungry faces. And a lot of them, hundreds of them tonight. So I'm so honored to be here and to be a witness to the beautiful work of the Vashon Land Trust. Advocacy for the precious lands we dwell on, 2,000 plus acres that they've committed to, which is really important work. It's really rewarding, and when we gather to celebrate that work, we don't feel so alone, right? We're surrounded by comrades, people who are carrying that work, and it really feeds us in important ways, more than our physical body. And to know that we're not alone and that many people are thinking and moving and shaking to nudge the work forward, that knowledge is priceless. It is also very much aligned with the Muckleshoot Food Sovereignty Project, something that we began in my community in 2010 and just started as a community-based nutrition education project where we identified our community food resources and the people in our community who carried that specialized knowledge. And then we developed curriculum around it where we brought people out to the prairie lands to dig camas bulbs and up to the high mountain meadows to harvest huckleberries and into our lowland forests to eat dug fir tips and dig earthen ovens. Collectively, we learned and admired traditional technologies like the bentwood box, the cedar bentwood box, which I brought here. It's on display tonight, and the wind has blown it over, I'm just noticing. Which is a traveling curriculum and also an exhibit. We replicated 12 of these over the last 2 years and gifted 6 to other tribal communities in the area, and 6 are housed in Muckleshoot. 2 are also housed at the Burke Museum if anybody wanted to check one out. The traveling Burke-mobile will let you check it out. It was fun work, and collectively, it's a collective body of knowledge that many tribal community members and funders have put together to make happen, to help educate people about the precious food gifts that are out there on our land and what to be stewards of. So you see, the Pacific Northwest was the most densely populated, non-agricultural region in the entire world prior to European contact. And stories passed down through generations of Native people tell us that many types of berries, roots, bulbs, nuts, seeds were all eaten as part of a well-balanced diet. These foods were part of a lifeway that promoted holistic health and practices that many people were actively on the landscape, harvesting huckleberries and mussels, which was both physically demanding and nutritionally sustaining. Many tribal elders fondly remember how their happiest times are ones where they gathered and prepared native foods with their friends and family, and these were unifying moments that brought people together over a common purpose. Stories and laughter were shared while hands processed fish, berries, and nuts. Today, our communities cope with the aftermath of cultural oppression and the loss of land and rights, which have resulted in changed environments. I created the Muckleshoot Food Sovereignty Project to reconnect our community to traditional, fresh, and healthy food sources so that we may return to the balance that prevented chronic disease like diabetes, heart disease, and cancers, and return to vibrant health among our people. And our efforts to strengthen food sovereignty and tribal food sustainability are not exclusive to my community, but are principled aims that can be pursued by virtually anyone who shares these common goals. Exhibiting food sovereignty means that our communities will have access to healthy food, that our healthy foods are culturally appropriate, that they will be able to grow, gather, hunt, and fish in ways that are maintainable over the long term. Foods will be distributed in ways so that people get what they need to maintain their health. Those who provide food are adequately compensated and can live a life of dignity. And of course, tribal treaty rights are upheld in a way that ensures continued access to our traditional foods. So, in solidarity, standing side by side with other communities and upholding each other's efforts, we can be successful and restore the health of the land and each other. I am constantly reminded of how important it is to appropriately explain what exactly it is we are to be good stewards of and why. And so in my brief time here this evening, I will share a couple of cultural keystone foods that you have all become local residents to, and from what I can tell from the work of the Vashon Land Trust, have become good neighbors of. So Peter Point, has anybody ever heard of that place? According to our tribal historians, Peter Point is historically known for cattail gathering. Cattails grow in communities. They have a lot to teach us about how to grow in communities. The rhizomes of the cattail are incredibly antibacterial, and they connect each other in this network underground through waterways. They are a nutritious food source from spring through fall. In the early spring, you can eat the shoots, and I like to chop them up and eat them fresh or put them into stir fries. Now you see that cob that's coming up. You can eat that like corn on the cob, but it kind of tastes like artichoke. And in the late summer, the pollen can be gathered. They're a great source of protein and can be used to fold into other baked good items like muffins and breads. Every part of this plant is useful. Traditionally, they were also woven to be used as mats, as dividers, as kneeling pads, as the inner parts were used as baby diapers and fans. And then also the roots are incredibly antibacterial and used for wound healing. And that's what they do for the land too. They're antibacterial, they clean the land, they clean the water. The next place I'd like to talk about is Magnolia Beach. Ever heard of that place? No? The Maury Island Aquatic Reserve. This was historically known as an excellent source of drinking water. And as we have heard from the No DAPL movement this last year, No Dakota Access Pipeline, water is life. Cultures around the world equate water with healing and energy. We call it our first medicine. People traveled great distances to drink or bathe in waters from mountains and springs and wells that were imbued with special energy. Water is the most important thing we can drink. It makes up 60 to 85% of our body weight and plays essential roles in carrying nutrients, removing waste, cooling us when we feel overheated, like today, digesting our food, and cushioning our organs and joints. Clean water is increasingly hard for people around the world to access, and many are standing up to protect it. Manzanita was a place for harvesting clams during the winter. Bivalves are abundant along the Pacific coast and the beaches of the Salish Sea. They are staple foods to many Northwest coastal Native communities. Families traditionally managed and were responsible for productive shellfish beaches that were often located near villages. Mussels, oysters, clams, all kinds of different species are dried and used as winter food, which is what makes this place as a winter harvest so special. Clams, mussels, and oysters within their tiny little bodies contain important nutrients like iron. Just 3 clams have the same amount of iron as an entire steak. Magnesium, zinc, and fatty acids that build our body's blood and maintain our immunity are part of their medicine, and they are also healing in our waters. One tiny bivalve can filter up to 15 to 20 gallons of water per day. Ensuring the healthy production of shellfish does not just mean food security, it means healthy people and clean water. So, we find ourselves at a time where the beauty and intricacy of these ancient food systems are often overlooked by most and drastically different from the dominant conventional food system that we currently rely on. A diet that promotes a consumer mindset and places us in grocery stores far away from our food sources. It is what has directly contributed to reasons why camas prairies and berry patches that people have cultivated for generations have been paved over for superstores like Walmart. And it is the direct reason why our salmon people are unable to spawn in the rising temperatures of our dammed rivers. Despite all of this, Native people continue to be relentless advocates for the continuity of our native food system. We are, after all, students of the salmon people. It will take all of us to encourage the health of the land, and food is the right place to begin. The Vashon Land Trust is a testament to this work, preserving ecosystems, raising awareness, and bringing people out to these precious spaces increases the health of the land, promotes active citizenry, and increases the diversity of our foodscapes. And that is the medicine that we are all after. On the note of encouraging, I am encouraged to support this work. I'm encouraging you to support this work this evening. And I also want to encourage you to remember that the health of the land and the health of all that dwells on it, including us pitiful humans, is worth caring about, and so is the Vashon Land Trust. And in our culture, we have a gesture where we raise our hands up. This means that you lift me up. And I want to say that to all of you tonight. You lift me up. The Vashon Land Trust lifts me up. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you very much.